Lynn here, just for the health of it. And boy, it's been a hot minute since we've hung out. So I have been super busy with projects and just like so narrow focused on getting some things done. Primarily, I wanted to get as much food in the ground as possible. And also, I wanted to kind of get the puppy pasture 2.0 situation started. We had a fairly mild spring, I would say, and it allowed me to get the grass started and a couple other things in, but we have gone from 60-degree temperatures to we're going to be in the 90s and might hit 100 on Wednesday, and we have not had rain in over a month. And then it was a couple weeks, maybe even 3 weeks before that we've had rain. So it's been a weird spring transition into summer, but I'm just going to give you a quick tour of where I am at with the property and what I've been doing. Alright, so here's the front view, and I did get quite a few trees logged from around the house, so it's opened up the view quite a bit and let in a lot of sun. I created this little address area. You can see just how much more open it all is. And I have piles and piles, compost, soil, mulch, just trying to get everything done. Coming into the front here, I got quite a few tomato plants. We still have sugar snap peas producing. I'm having problems with tomatoes growing in here, so I have a new tomato backup plant that I'm trying to think about planting in there. I'm not sure what's going on with the soil. And lots of peppers down this row. And these are just some fruit pots that I brought over from the RV so I could better take care of them. And over here we have potatoes and cabbage. I've got one cabbage that's starting to head up, but I'm afraid the other ones aren't going to make it because we are now heading to the super hot weather. And then across from that, I have just a complete hedge of strawberries that have been producing great, with chamomile and calendula and coreopsis I've been harvesting for tea. And I did reseed these two little grass areas just because they were so terrible, and I did get that seeded in the spring. And then some flowers and more strawberries. Coming down this way, I have my trellis brought over, which I have a video on that you can watch. And we've got tomatoes, tomatillos, and peppers, and ground cherries planted in here. And then you can see the green stalks. This one is older strawberries that I've had for a while that I transplanted. You can tell they're not doing quite as well as these are first year strawberries, which have produced huge volumes and huge berries. And then I've got more potatoes and cabbage over here. I'm not sure, like I said, that the cabbage is going to get headed up in time before it's too hot, but the potatoes are doing great. And then over here, we have the chicken coop. I have a tarp over the top right now, but I have like one of those shade windsails on order that I'm gonna put over, because I didn't think about it, but I put clear corrugated roofing, which is crazy here, no shade. But I'll be able, it's a 20-foot triangle, so it'll go from the back all the way to the corner of the shed. So this will actually produce them a lot of good shade. And all the girls are doing great. And 2.0s are growing up so big, girls. And then I'm using this little thing kind of as my garden shed, this side. And their coop is attached to this run, which actually goes all the way behind that, around the garden, and over here. I call it the chicken moat. Got the idea from Living Traditions. And basically it allows the chickens to go all the way around the garden, which helps control pests and weeds. So these are my 6 main beds. And then I have little things where I've been growing chicken fodder. And like I said, it was a pretty weird spring. So like the lettuce was doing pretty good until the heat came. But I got a couple tomatoes planted in there. And then these trellises, here go the chickens, all the way around the garden. Hi, girls. Into the shade. So I set up these trellises and had sugar snap peas on them in the spring, which didn't produce much. And then you can see we have tomatoes coming up in between. So I'm using the spot in 2 ways. The cool weather crop in the hopes that those would produce and then die out by the time the hot weather crops come in. And I've done that for these 3 also. We're still getting blossoms on the sugar snap peas, so we'll see how much longer they survive. But we're also into warm enough temperatures that we're getting blossoms on the tomatoes also. We've got some beans growing here, along with some peppers. The peppers took quite a beating in the hailstorm, so we'll see how they survive. My basil, I tried transplanting it, but it didn't like it. So I'm just letting it go to flower for pollinators. And then along the back, we have orchard row. So I have all my fruit trees. And then we did get quite a bit of radishes. And like I said, you know, once it hits 80, they just want to bolt. So I'll let them go to seed and collect those seeds. We do still have some snap peas coming in here. And then here's the back side of where the chickies come out. And here's my big barren mess. But if you remember, it was that old trailer, which I had demolished and cleaned out and everything cleared. We did some logging. We have a huge burn pile here, but we are on a burn ban. So there is not much I can do at this point. So we have to wait till fall before I can burn. These are my waterfall stone steps, and you can see I've started planting up this area. From this edge over, I'm gonna leave for now until fall. I really can't develop anything until after we do the burn, but you can see this area is what this all looked like. So I just kind of keep working my way down, planting it. And we have a lot of stuff for pollinators, a lot of medicinals, and some good ground cover that will just fill in and help, one, replant the area, redevelop the soil, the topsoil, and provide lots and lots of food and forage for the wildlife. This is where we actually ended up with a great flat spot that I decided to plant Puppy Pasture 2.0. And I did pay a person to level it and bring in 3 inches of topsoil and get that compacted down a little bit. And then I rolled out this product. It's called GroTrax. It's basically seed, mulch, and fertilizer that comes in a big roll of paper, and you roll it out and water it. Around all the edges, I've planted clover and pumpkins and wildflowers. This is my hope to keep the deer off of it mostly. Oh, the sun is already beating. But you can see all the wildflowers we have that are gonna come in. And then this is my pile of wood for firewood, yard art, whatever. It just couldn't get sold to a mill. And I did bring my pressure washer so I could pressure wash the house and get things cleaned up there. But you can see where I've started developing some of this. I mean, it was all raw weeds, stones, and dirt. Just coming down that slope, I've just used the materials I had on hand. So a lot of stones and a lot of wood. So I did use my DeWalt chainsaw that I'm loving, and I cut a bunch of those logs that couldn't go to the mill, and I just cut them for stepping stones because I needed some way up and down this hill. And you can see I kind of created little vignettes in various sections down here. Here I have made a bed. I just really wanted to try corn this year now that I have access to water. And here I planted up the 3 sisters. So you plant corn, and then you plant beans, pole beans in the middle of them, and the beans will grow up the corn stalks, and then you plant pumpkins or squash or something like that as a ground cover. And then here, I actually left some thimbleberries that were just growing. And here's an upper view of Puppy Pasture 2.0. So here you kind of get a view of where the stone waterfall is. The chicken coop is back there with the garden behind it. My little paths that I've created and that I'm planting up. And then sometimes instead of rounds, I just use little logs as steps. Created some just pathways and then some beds, but I did leave the middle of this open so that I kind of had a maintenance access. And puppy pasture growing in nicely. Have a fence around puppy pasture so that they can't step on the grass just yet. That they have access to the rest of this. Freya, do you eat all the strawberries? This is their shady spot I created under the apple tree. Just some old sawhorses with a piece of tin over it for now. Sometimes you just do what you gotta do, huh, girls? All right, puppers. Well, I'm gonna get the hose and the pool set up for the dogs because it's gonna be very warm today. And I just wanna find ways to keep them and the baby chickies and 2.0's cool. So hopefully you get outside and not only do something for your health of it, but you find a way to beat the heat. We'll see you in the next one. Why the pool can't be filled all the way, because Freya stabs the edge. We need a puppy-proof pool. Okay, you're too hot.